Somewhere right now, a man named Marcus is lying in bed in his pajamas, thumb hovering over a glowing Spin Now button. In the next 90 seconds, he'll lose $300 without ever touching a poker chip or hearing a dealer shuffle a deck. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why Marcus never stood a chance and what actually happens to his money in the seconds after he taps that screen. Because here's the truth most people never think about. The company on the other end of that transaction isn't gambling at all. It's running one of the most reliably profitable business models on Earth.
Let's start with what it actually costs to build a machine that's about to take Marcus's money. Launching an online casino is nowhere near as expensive as building one in Las Vegas. There's no land, no construction, no army of dealers. Instead, an operator needs a license, licensed software, and a payment system. Costs vary a lot by jurisdiction and provider, so treat these as rough industry estimates rather than fixed prices. A license in a lighter touch jurisdiction like Curacao can run in the tens of thousands of dollars, while a license in a stricter market like Malta or the UK can climb well into six figures. Software licensed from an established game provider adds more on top of that, often scaling into the hundreds of thousands, depending on how many games and how much customization the platform wants. So, for a few $100,000, someone can open digital doors that never close, never sleep, and never run out of tables. That's the entry price, but it's not where the real business lives. The real business lives in a number so small most players never think to ask about it: the house edge. Let's follow Marcus's $300 all the way through, because this is where the abstraction becomes real. Say Marcus is playing a slot game with a house edge of 8%, which is roughly in the middle of what's typical for slots. That doesn't mean the casino takes 8% of his money in one bite. It means that across thousands of spins, for every $100 that flows through that machine, the platform is mathematically positioned to keep about $8 over time. Marcus might win big on spin 4 and feel like he's beating the system. He might lose 10 spins in a row and feel unlucky. Neither feeling matters to the casino, because the casino isn't betting on any single spin. It's betting on the average of millions of spins happening at the exact same moment all over the world.
That's the quiet engine underneath the flashing lights. Not luck, volume. But here's what nobody tells you when you sit down to play. The games themselves are built to keep you sitting there. Slot machines are engineered with something researchers call near-miss outcomes, where two symbols line up and a third lands just one position away from a win. Some behavioral research suggests these near misses can trigger a similar excitement response to an actual win, even though nothing was won at all. Whether or not you buy the neuroscience, the design intent is not subtle. The games that keep players seated the longest are, unsurprisingly, the games with the worst odds. So how does a platform get someone like Marcus in the door in the first place? The same way a streaming service gets you to start a free trial. Welcome bonuses and free spins aren't generosity. They're a customer acquisition cost, dressed up as a gift. Now, ask yourself, if the house edge alone guarantees profit, why do these platforms spend so aggressively on marketing? That's the part worth sitting with for a second, because it tells you something about how competitive this industry actually is underneath the surface. A well-run online casino typically pours something like a third to nearly half of its revenue back into marketing, simply because the market is flooded with competitors fighting for the same players. Licensing, compliance, and legal costs, especially in tightly regulated markets, eat up a meaningful chunk more. Game providers usually take a royalty on top of that, a slice of whatever revenue their specific games generate. Payment processors take their own small cut of every deposit and withdrawal, often a few percent, which for Marcus is one more quiet leak in a boat that's already taking on water. After all of that, what's left is still remarkably healthy. Successful platforms can retain profit margins that would make most traditional retail businesses jealous. Which raises the real question. If the math is this favorable, why do so many online casinos fail within a year or two? Because the threats to this business aren't in the numbers. They're in three places most operators underestimate:
The first is regulation. Gambling law shifts constantly, and a platform that's fully legal in a country today can be locked out of that market tomorrow with almost no warning. Operators who build their entire business around one region can lose access to it overnight. The second is fraud. Payment fraud, bonus abuse, and coordinated groups of players exploiting bugs in game software can quietly drain millions before anyone notices the pattern. The third, and arguably the most dangerous, is trust. This is an industry that sells a single promise, that the game is fair and the payout is real. One viral story about a platform stalling a payout or manipulating odds can undo years of growth in a matter of days. Bet365 is one of the few operators that built its reputation methodically enough to scale into a global, multi-billion-dollar business over decades, precisely by treating trust as the product, not just the marketing. Most operators that cut corners on licensing or payout speed never get that chance. They quietly disappear once players stop believing them. And that's really the lesson underneath everything we've walked through. The biggest mistake new operators make isn't technical. It's that they assume the game sells itself. It doesn't. The platforms that survive aren't the ones that get someone to play once. They're the ones that get someone to come back tomorrow and the day after that, using the same behavioral hooks a social media feed uses to keep you scrolling. So think back to Marcus, still in bed, still tapping. He isn't playing against bad luck, he's playing against a system engineered, refined, and marketed by people who did the math long before he opened the app. The house doesn't need him to lose tonight, it just needs him to keep coming back. That's the real economics of owning an online casino, not a business built on chance. A business built on making sure chance never actually gets a vote.